So you've now increased your efficiency by doubling or tripling your capacity to hire and increasing the speed and reliability on training the staff to get them to work. So now your business can scale 5 times faster than it could before, and you can still sleep at night because you know exactly what everyone's doing.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is the finale of a 2-part series with Lora Lonesberry. In part 1, she covered things like the importance of learning from others, building efficiencies in your business, and the power of having a niche. Let's find out what other insights she has. Here's part 2 of our conversation. I was just thinking of this the other day because, it's something that comes up often, right? Because we have a standard best practice way of doing things. That's our whole life. That's everything that we're working on and developing and constantly working with is one, helping business owners like you have a system that is that one way. And there's thousands of ways to do it. And there's thousands of people that are involved in it that have great ideas and you could do it a million ways. And in fact, it is the case. There's another line from Debbie is if you have 10 bookkeepers do a set of books, you'll have 11 different versions. So,
absolutely.
So the challenge is it just comes back to it's a very simple answer. It's like decide on the system and stick to the system. And if you waver from the system, you kind of just putting, a wrench in your own gears or flattening your own tire because you don't have a unique, a standard and generic way of doing it. And many people say, oh, like, where's the art in it? And where's the freedom and all of these good things? It's like, well, it's a mirage to think that having choice is freedom, because freedom comes, as you've experienced, freedom comes from committing to doing it a particular way, and having everyone do it a particular way is what gives you freedom.
Yes, it absolutely does. And freedom and a sense of peace, because our jobs can be extremely stressful, especially during tax season. And of course, in bookkeeping, our stressful period starts like at least 2 months before, especially us. We do a lot of payroll. So our high season starts in November. And it's like, if we don't have systems, even in our payroll reconciliations and stuff, it all crumbles and the stress is too much. So the ability to be able to rely on those systems that they work takes a lot of pressure off of you. Now it's just a matter of, and we deal with numbers all the time, and it amazes me, and I fall into this trap every once in a while as well, is not monitoring my own numbers. We're so busy monitoring our clients' numbers that we don't pay attention to our own. So the only time it can catch me up is I have a 75% performance formula. And as soon as they start going over that 75% of their time, because I need 25% of their time for administration, and if they're over it for too long, that's telling me that we need to hire someone else. So monitoring your numbers and bringing someone else in on time, because they still need to be trained on time for that busy season, is key. And that's the only time that really trips us up is, now we can have a stress-free tax season. That you can take a couple of days off during tax season instead of working 7 days a week, because your systems work and you're watching your own performance key markers. And there you go. There's your freedoms back. now you can have a life with your family.
Mm. It's just so refreshing because this is what I do every day and wake up is figure out and work to figure out how to help people like yourself achieve that outcome. And there's many. I mean, we work with hundreds and hundreds of firm owners like yourself, and they're not all there where you are, but they're on the trajectory to getting there. And I'm curious what you believe some of the key aspects like that enabled you to get to that promised outcome, because what we do every day is really to help bookkeeping business owners achieve the freedom, more money, and have more fun and enjoyment out of their business. I mean, that's what we're doing this for, is to be able to have the freedom to go and spend more time with our family. What is it that you believe that you've done that maybe when you look around at other people, even in our community, that maybe aren't doing things to get to the outcomes that you've achieved?
I have three words that I measure and I look when we're making decisions for the business. We always look to see, does it fit in with these three objectives? And if it doesn't, don't do it. So I think that you have to have, one, the ability to adapt. Two is to have the support. And three is to put modifications in, right? So as far as adapting, you can't be too rigid. It's not a straight line from point A to point B. There's always twists and turns along the way, and you have to go with those ebb and flows. And a lot of times someone will open up a business and they're like, I'm just going to sell this, or I'm only going to work with these people. And if you stick to that, and that goes back to the all your eggs in one basket situation, is life changes. Like we've done more changing in the last 10 years, like as a society, than we have in the last 30. If you don't change with those, you're going to be left behind in the dust. Ask Blockbusters how that worked out for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to be able to adapt in your situation and allow your business the freedom, because that's what it is. It's us. It's us as a business owner that's choking out our business. We're the bottleneck. So you have to be able to move out of your own way and let your business breathe, which that leads to support. Whether you're a one-man band and the support is coming from your partner at home, or whether you're investing in staff, you have to have those resources in your team to get through it. You can't do everything. So you have to start delegating things to other people. And I'm a control freak, just as any other business owner is going to be. You don't want to let go of stuff because no one can do it as good as you can. No one pays attention as good as you do. Well, that means investing in your support. You get them the courses, and I don't teach my staff. That's a pitfall for me. I know what I want them to learn, and I will send them and sign them up to courses that's going to teach them what I need them to learn. It helps our relationship. It gives more credibility to what they're learning because it's coming from a different professional that is an expert in their field. And I know once they've graduated from whatever it is that I sent them to, that they have the tools that I have to be able to do that job. So now I can feel confident in delegating that work to them, which now frees me up to do other work to grow my business. They also have now just become problem solvers. The other key thing I think is, as far as support is concerned, is recognizing your own weaknesses. Hire staff that fulfill those weaknesses, because you now have a gap in your business. So if there's something that you can't do, you've now filled that gap by hiring someone who can do that for you. And then modifications. Doesn't matter whether you're racing a car or running a business, you have to constantly be in the mindset of modifying whatever you have to make it better, to make it more efficient. In our business right now, the key factor is apps. Is the more apps you can get into your business to increase your efficiency. The biggest thing that you're hearing out there is changing from billable hours to flat fee. Well, that's how you're raising your prices when you're packaging things up, making your business more effective and more efficient. You're making more money. You now have those systems in your and processes in your business that you can now scale your business there, and you don't have to train your staff anymore. You now have staff in your network that can train staff. Well, now you can hire 2 people because Kelly's training one and I'm training the other. There's your scalability right there. You've bought in, and there's a big difference between buying pure bookkeeping or buying in to pure bookkeeping. You have to buy into the program and trust that it works. Put in the systems, get your staff to buy into those systems, and now training staff to do those is so much faster. So you've now increased your efficiency by doubling or tripling your capacity to hire and increasing the speed and reliability on training the staff to get them to work. So now your business can scale 5 times faster than it could before, and you can still sleep at night because you know exactly what everyone's doing. Well, my control freak ambitions are satisfied. So, and if I'm at the track, it's the exact same way. You know, the track is never the same. The pavement changes, the weather changes, the car reacts differently every time. I have a support team that goes out on the track with me and monitors my tire temperatures and all the rest of it. They make adjustments, and I increase my speed. If I hit a plateau, which has just happened, we start talking about car parts. What am I going to put in this engine that's going to get me more power? How am I going to change the camber on my tires so that it stays on the ground? If you're sliding, you're not speeding. So it's the same in my business. What app am I going to get in here that is going to make this business better and faster and reliable? So I need to modify my business just as much as I do my hobbies.
Amazing. And so well said, and it leads into this next question that I have, which is, we talked about it in the beginning, and it said, you're an avid racing fan. I don't know that was accurate. You're an avid racer.
Yes.
I am a fan of it, but you're also on the track racing your own race car.
Exactly. To the point, I was actually there yesterday. I definitely have a huge passion for cars and newer cars and technology, and I'm definitely not one of the retro. Yes, there were some beautiful cars in the history, and they're awesome muscle cars, but what's coming out today with the technology that's in them, and I've always been, a combustion engine kind of girl, but I have learned to take that chip off my shoulders, and the electric cars that are coming out are just amazing. I get beat by a Tesla all the time. And I'm like, are you kidding? And there is the Chevy Bolt. It is a tiny little hatchback. I have more modifications in my car than you can shake a stick at. And that car can beat me. So it's one of those, never take anything for granted. And that just goes right into your business as well, right? You may think that you've got the corner market on your industry in that group of clients that you're dealing with, but mark my words, someone can come along and they'll be a one-man band and they can surpass you like lightning because you're no longer paying attention to your business. You got too comfortable, right? So it's like, if you're not uncomfortable in what you're doing, you're not growing.
So true. And it's a refreshing thing. I think it's like, I'm a combustion engine enthusiast as well, but in the last probably 6 months, just researching and looking at, that's where the world is going to, is electrical vehicles. and considering getting an electric vehicle and looking at the performance capabilities and all. It's like, what? Like, it's just
Yeah.
mind-boggling what it can do. And it really is a lovely analogy or metaphor for business, which is the world is changing quickly, and there's some remarkable, amazing things to help us get there faster and provide more freedom. And so it's being open to, like you said, in your three key objectives, right? It's being open to the learning, open to modifying things, being adaptable, being willing to look at, it's like, hey, I don't have it all figured out. And there's a lot of other really smart people out there that are building things that are going to blow my mind.
And even if you did, you may be one of those people that you were, and the key word here is were, the leader in that particular change, in that particular industry. But because life changes so much, and we can't always have our finger on the pulse of all those apps, like hundreds of thousands of apps come open every day. Someone else out there. So it's like, don't lock yourself down to say that I'm the king of e-commerce, because another app is going to come out one day and you may not be aware of it. So you have to be open to listening to other people and investigating things and joining networks that are going to share this information to be able to change. Because yeah, you could definitely, and that's where I'm saying that all of a sudden you get comfortable, and I fall into that trap myself sometimes, is things are going really well and you get complacent and comfortable in what you're doing, and then all of a sudden I'll listen to a podcast and realize that, oh my goodness, this is going on and I missed it, and now all of a sudden I feel like I'm 10 steps behind the industry. So it's time to get my head back in the game and start seeing what's out there that I can implement, and how well will it increase productivity in with my clients. And if I can introduce this new thing to them before they're aware of it, I'm back in the hero seat. So it's like you always have to have your ear to the ground on what's changing in your industry, whether it's racing cars and its new parts, or is it my bookkeeping firm that's going to take it to new heights.
So true. And I think just even jumping back to the analogy of, why was I combustion engine aficionado or attached to it, or whatever the case may be, not necessarily in my daily driver, but the cars that I aspire to drive, or whatever the case may be, is it's sunk cost. If I have something and I've done something and I've put all that energy into learning it, it's what I know. There's a lot of sunk energy and cost into that. And I think that's something to be aware of, is that it's to not let that sunk cost and energy hold us back from making the right choice or a better choice. Because if not, then we're we're the blockbuster, right? The blockbuster was like, well, we don't want to change, right?
Yeah.
The sunk cost, we have all of these DVDs on these shelves. You're crazy, right? How would we ever change or make the leap? And I often see it in workflow software. People are, I spent all this time setting it up. And it's like, yeah, but if you're using something that's not working, or it's not providing the value anymore, or it hasn't evolved, then it's a sunk cost. So you have to make another investment into the new way of doing things, and not to be attached to that, letting that sunk cost, I guess, make the decision for us or for me, right? And that's really what's opened me up to saying, yeah, you know what? If it's better, electric's better, then the electric's the way we're going.
Exactly. And as much as I hate to see it, because that's the thing, is, I love manual transmissions. I love being the one that's making the decision and feeling I'm controlling the car. Everything that happens is because I've made the decision to do it. But you get into a Porsche, that car was built to make those decisions for you. It can go faster. It sounds wonderful. Might not sound as wonderful as mine, but it's like, okay, are you listening for the roar? Is that what you really want? Same in your business. Is it this one aspect of your business that you're really enjoying, and now you're missing out on these 8 other things that can make your business better and more profitable and grow. And now you can retire and your business keeps providing you income while you're retired at home? Or do you go to electric and say, all right, fine, I'm going. And I now have a more efficient car that's going to, those things, they stick to the ground. When it rains, they don't slip. And it's like, okay, you proved me wrong. So it's the same with all of these apps and stuff. There is going to be a system out there at some point, and you're so true. I can dump tens of thousands of dollars into my race car, but eventually I know that the day is coming that I'm going to have to sell it and probably get electric. Maybe I'll have an app on my phone that sounds like a muscle car.
Exactly.
So I still have that.
Your earbuds. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's the same with the business. It's like, I know that there's apps out there that I spent a lot of money both purchasing it and setting it up and getting my staff to use it. And I know that probably 3 to 5 years from now, I'm going to have to change it. But if you buy into that concept as well, everything we have, we always want something, the newest, latest, best, right? Who keeps their cell phone for very much longer? Like, even the phone companies have gone from buying it to recycling it. You turn in your phone and get a new one and upgrade it, and you get the new one with, whatever discount, and because they know you're going to upgrade to the next piece of technology. Your business is no different. So you've just spent, it could be $6,000 to $10,000 on a piece of software. Keep it in your head that 3 to 5 years from now, you're probably going to either add on to that because the company is smart enough to evolve, or you're going to have to get something else that's better because your company has outgrown that piece of equipment. And you have to recognize that, yes, I'm going to have to invest in something else and let it go.
It's so true, and that really is the case. We joke about apps, getting together and having a baby, because that's really, it's the evolution is that, there's some cool apps that do this and some cool apps do that, and it's like, wow, what if they both did that together, and then that comes out, and it's like, and then when that's out, it's like there'll be some other app, and it's like, it's just an evolution that's happening. I mean, even in everything that the technology is moving so quickly, and it's exciting, but it's like there's the other side to it, and it's to be aware of it. And I think it's something that's important for our listener to be considering and thinking about, is that it's part of the business, it's part of the game, and if we don't accept that, then I think it puts us at a disadvantage. And so it's refreshing to hear you talk about it.
Exactly. And it's like, and especially for our listeners right now, is we know that there's going to be a mixture of people that are still using desktop. They're still collecting papers from their clients and stuff like that. Look around to the people in your industry, in your community, and see where the landscape is changing. I'm seeing quite a few people that are retiring early because they just can't wrap their head around technology and apps and paperless. And they know that that's what the new business owner is looking for, and they're watching their client list decline. So it's like you're either getting out or you're buying in. So as I would say for the people who are listening right now, is that would probably be where to start. If our conversation hasn't motivated you yet, that's surely going to do it. You're going to see those people around you that you talk to all the time, and you're going to see all those people that are quite frequently lately starting to drop off and retire. And look at their age. Are they actually retirement age, or are they retiring early and selling their businesses to someone else? And then watch who did they sell it to? And I've seen those businesses that got bought up turn into cloud-based, app-based businesses. So that right there is going to tell you what we're saying to you is true.
So true. So true. The idea of that is really, it's a question for our listeners. Like, is this, it's a choice, right? It's a choice. And, what are you trying to achieve? What's your desire? This came up just the other day as in order to be successful in business, this I learned a long time ago, actually, from my mentor and business partner, Peter Cook, who was Debbie's business coach for forever, it seems, right from the very beginning, was the 5 steps to success. The first being desire. You have to have a burning desire to be successful, to have something, to have the trappings of whatever it is that you want. For you, building your business, there was an outcome, probably more racing, more time to race, more time with family, whatever the case may be. But you have a burning desire to make that happen. Number 2 is belief. The belief that you actually believe it's possible to have that outcome, to make these. And this is where so many, I've worked with thousands now of bookkeepers and big business owners in general. And that's the one that stinks so many, is that they just don't believe it's possible for them. And that's a tough one to overcome, because that's a very personal thing. And it might require, some exploration and really looking at what's the limiting belief that has you not believe you can have the success. And then the third is commitment. And you've talked about it today. It's like committed. It's like, don't invest in it, buy into it. Don't buy it, buy into it and commit to it. If you commit to it, that's a difference. And it's not an 8 or a 7 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 commitment. And the fourth is focus. You've got to focus. You got to put all that laser energy. We talked about busting through the door, with the head. It's like, if you focus and bring a community around you and use that energy to focus, the door will open easily, but you must focus. And then the fifth is you got to take the actions that are in line with the commitment, right? It's like, what actions are you taking? So, it really sums up a lot of what we've talked about in this interview today, is that there's pieces of each. And if you just do one, you're not going to get to the next. And maybe you're not ready to do that. Like, it is a journey. Sometimes the journey takes somebody a year. Sometimes it takes the next person 10 years. But we can always accelerate that by looking around and paying attention. And I think this has been fantastic. And I will say to a listener, if you've heard about Pure Bookkeeping and you've heard about, the work that we do, and you've been considering it, come and speak to us. We want to help you be more like Lora and have what Lora has accomplished. And so we'd love to work with you. Lora, last question I want to talk about, and we obviously, this is going to be 2 episodes because we've talked for a very long time, which has been a lot of fun. But, you've talked about that, maybe talk a little bit more about the freedoms that you have and having hobbies and interests outside of your business. And why is that important to you? And why do you think it's important for our listener?
The first thing that would come to mind is burnout. A lot of times burnout sneaks up on you. And eventually it'll get to the point where you realize that you're just so fatigued you can't think straight. But it's one of those, and which also goes back to monitoring your own key performance indicators, is how long does it take you to get your work done? How long is it taking you to get your work done now? All of a sudden your motivation starts dropping. You start looking for excuses not to do something. That's burnout. And your business gets affected by it. Your relationship with your clients gets affected by it. And it's quite easy. Everyone laughs at me. Right now I'm looking for a love seat for my office. I just renovated the office. Bad time to do it during tax season, but yep, that happened. And as I look for this piece, it's, can I nap on it? And everyone will be like, are you kidding me? No. There will be some point in the day where I can barely keep my eyes open. And if I had couch in my office where I could just take a 20-minute nap. Like, if you push through that, who's suffering? You're now spending maybe 25 to 50% more time on that client's file because you're fatigued. So it's like, no, step away, go for a walk, do something to re-energize your batteries to get back to work. Pull the plug and don't worry about that particular moment because you're not doing anybody any favors. If you keep plugging away, tax season is the best example. We all do it. The deadlines are there. They're momentous, overwhelming, and if I don't have systems in place and stuff, that burnout's going to happen. I'm going to work, 10, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, how many weeks in a row to get it done? If you don't walk away, you could be at the peak of, I've got 4 deadlines tomorrow. No, I have to walk away. I have to clear my mind. I have to rejuvenate myself so I can be effective. I can't pick out these things that are going wrong in my clients. I'll make mistakes on a payroll reconciliation. This is stuff I do every day. But I'll make it, like me, not just my staff. I'll make a mistake on it. I'll look back on it a week later and think, what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking. I was in burnout. So it's like you have to, I think it's just so important to have something that's totally unrelated to what you're doing. And like, what could be further on the spectrum of sitting at my desk crunching numbers all day to getting into a race car and being an adrenaline junkie for 8 hours? Those are so far apart. But when I come back the next day, I am honed in to what I'm doing. I pick up on the little nuances. I think of creative ways. I'll be laying in bed thinking, oh, if I took this spreadsheet and matched it up to, I might have a bank account for a shareholder that is personal. You're not going to reconcile that. But it's like, perfect. He always has this Excel spreadsheet that's split up. So here's all his personal expenses. There's my source document. If I'm burned out, I'm not going to think of a fix like that. So I think it's so key that you as everyone talks about the work-life balance, I probably work a lot more than most people think you should, but I also play really hard too. So when I'm disconnected, I am very disconnected from the business, and I have the systems in place that I can disconnect from the business and know that my staff have got it covered while I'm gone. When I first got into this business and before I got pure bookkeeping, every time I went away, when I came home, I was either losing a client or all hell had broken loose and it took me days to fix it. And I don't have that problem anymore. I can totally rely on my staff to take care of something. I don't have to take my laptop with me when I go on vacation anymore. Those things are, and yes, definitely go on vacation. You have to get away from it in order to focus. So I think it's very, very important to have hobbies and stuff outside of the business.
Well said, Lora. This has been absolutely fantastic. So many golden nuggets of information and knowledge and wisdom. So many different themes throughout this conversation with you, and theme of in this month coming up, June being the June we celebrate our fathers. We started off with that, but gone full spectrum, so many points. And so on behalf of our listener, I want to thank you for your generosity in sharing what you've learned in your business journey with all of us today.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
It's been our pleasure. What a terrific chat we recorded in June. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. And with that, we wrap this 2-part series. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.